Hello guys, this is a short video about the latest updates after GG nerfed all the custom meta skills. Sadly, we paid for our sins because what we were doing wasn't broken or anything like that. And the summary of the changes is that custom skills now requires a lot more energy to proc, specifically while mapping, because this affects all the Y mobs that we are shocking with custom shock. But in the other hand, on bosses I tested it and it's fine. So potentially we could switch to a setup with custom shock or pinnacle bosses in the future. But for mapping, we have to do changes since most of our gameplay is actually mapping. So I have here the list of all the changes that I did. Okay, so let's start with the changes. First, I removed the custom shock skill. And now we are self-casting Lightning Conduit. It requires some wind up to cast the skill because, as you can see, it has a fixed 1 second time that cannot be reduced with cast speed. But the damage is way higher than before because we have an extra support skill. Secondly, we remove the Order of Storms to apply the exposure, and instead we are using the Lightning Warp. Okay, so here in the Lightning Warp setup we have the Lightning Exposure, the Strip Away to make the exposures higher, and Overcharge. This is to apply higher shocks. So now in our setup we are applying the shocks through the Lightning Warp because Lightning Warp has a line that says that when you activate the Lightning Warp you will leave a shock round. In the shock round will always shock no matter what the hit or the chance to shock, okay? So this is very easy to proc the shocks, and we can actually activate the Lightning Warp using the ball lightning. We will see later on in the combo section in this video how to proc easily the shocks on enemy using Lightning Warp. Then for ball lighting, we are removing all of the exposure stuff that we had before, and now we are adding the scatter shots. So you can shoot multiple projectiles from the ball lighting. For example, if I cast here, as you can see, we're casting 3 projectiles at the same time with a single cast. And if I remove the support, we're only casting 1. This is important, and you will see in a moment when we see the combo, okay? And finally, the replacement for the custom shock will be Blasphemy, okay? We are switching to a more defensive aura. Blasphemy, what it does is that it activates around you a curse, and in this case we're using Feeble. In Feeble, what it does is reduces the damage that the enemies around you, in this case since you're using Blasphemy, deals to you. This is an extra defensive layer for general mapping including bosses. Okay, so for the skill tree, as you can see, I have now all the setup done for the Eldritch Battery and all the mana stuff, okay? Once you have a decent life pool through your gear and you have some decent mana, you can start speccing into the more mana and multipliers here. And after you get that, you can transform. Since you have enough life, you can transform all your energy shield from your gear to your mana, and you will have a bigger pool. And after that, you can add the spell damage per mana node here. And also by doing this, we are boosting our Archmage aura. And finally, for the gems, I'm recommending to get the ones that it gives you to take some damage from mana before life. That will provide another layer of defenses for the build. And that's especially good after you get your third ascendancy, because you get so much mana regen that you can over sustain the damage that you can take. Okay, so now let's see the combo and let's see how we apply the shocks and all the curses, the exposure and that kind of stuff. So what we are doing now is that first we are going to cast our curse on the enemy, okay? So once the enemy is cursed, we are going to shoot the ball lightnings, and we are going to cast the Lightning Warp on the ball lighting, okay? This is an interaction that you can read in the skill, but you can shoot the ball lightings and cast the Lightning Warps, okay? And as you can see, since Lightning Warp leaves this shackled ground that you can see now in the screen, this will shock the enemy and it will apply consistently for your Lightning Conduit once you cast it, okay? So let's see it again. We are going to apply the curse, then we're going to apply the Lightning Bolt, and we're going to apply multiple Lightning Warps so we can shock the enemy multiple times. And after that, you can roll away and apply and cast the Lightning Conduit, okay? So let's see now in action in a boss. This is Act 4, but since the boss is pretty close to the to the waypoint. I'm going to use this as a reference. So we apply the curse. We are going to the bowling shock, and now we boom. Okay. So this is the combo, and it's pretty good. The Maul got one-shotted not because, not only because this is on the campaign, but because the combo does an insane amount of damage, especially because now we are using four supports. That these are all damage multipliers for the Lightning Conduit, aside from the 800 that we get from our shocks alone. And yeah, that's basically it, guys. These are all the changes that I did based on latest changes from Shishi. And the build still has a lot to upgrade. For example, I would like to get an insane +5 wand for all lightning spell skills. I still need to level up a lot. I'm still level 77. Then all of my gems are 4 links maximum. We could get a 5 and 6 link. Then the quality of the gems, I have 0 quality on all of the other gems. I am actually getting some of them. I'll probably end up buying the rest. For example, for Archmage, that's especially good because you get an extra 2%. This is 25 more extra damage from Archmage. And Archmage is one of our main auras for damage. Then of course we're going to need more gem levels. As you can see, I have Arc as level 17. I have my Archmage, I think that's the same level. Archmage is also 17, and that can get easily up to 20 once you level up, and once you start dropping the, well, you can buy the uncut gems, but you need to level up to 90. I think it's for level 20, so that's a ton of damage. We're missing 3 levels from the Arc and from, yeah, all of the skills, but especially for Arc and for Archmage. That scales a lot of our damage, and also the Lightning Conduit. Then on gear that costs a lot of exalts, like my chest here, this was 20 exalts. I'm saving these sockets to add soul cores instead of the normal runs. Then we can have a double setup with the weapon. So one weapon could apply the exposure, and with the Lightning Warp and such, and with the other weapon we can just focus on damage. So we could have a more efficient tree that I will experiment later on after I get my second weapon. And then finally we have the 4th Ascendancy. Of course, we still have to do the 4th Ascendancy, which I'll probably get the extra exposure or the recoup. I will at least try this and see how it looks like for 40% elemental damage. It looks good on paper, but in my experience, the recoup mechanic in PoE 2 is kind of lackluster. But we will see. I will at least try it and see how it feels, and if it doesn't feel good, I will just expect into these coding wines. And yeah, guys, that's it for the latest updates. If you have any questions about the build, let me know in the comments, and see you guys in the next one. Bye.